In episode 15, Eliciting Appetite from Executives, we explore the art of translating ambition into boundaries, helping leaders express not only what they want to achieve, but how much uncertainty they are willing to embrace along the way. Many organizations struggle to define risk appetite because their leadership discussions stay abstract. Executives speak in vision and opportunity. Risk professionals must convert those aspirations into measurable comfort zones. This episode shows how to guide that conversation without jargon or confrontation, turning strategy into structure. When done well, appetite discussions become energizing dialogues about intent, not limiting debates about fear. Preparation begins with prompts anchored directly in strategy. Executives respond best when questions connect to mission, markets, and goals, not to risk frameworks alone. The PMI-RMP professional studies the organization's objectives, growth targets, transformation priorities, and regulatory boundaries, and frames questions around them. For example, how much cost variation is acceptable to accelerate market entry? Or, how would a 6-month delay affect stakeholder confidence? Anchored prompts turn vague comfort levels into specific trade-offs. Preparation also signals respect for leadership time, demonstrating that risk management exists to advance, not constrain, strategic ambition. Scenarios make appetite tangible. Rather than asking, "Are we risk tolerant?" professionals present brief narratives. One where the company moves fast but faces volatility, another where it moves carefully but misses opportunities. Executives naturally reveal preferences when reacting to consequences instead of definitions. Scenario-based dialogue converts conceptual comfort into felt judgment. The professional listens for emotional cues, hesitation, enthusiasm, or defensiveness that indicate genuine tolerance. These stories transform abstract scales into lived choices, producing clarity that charts and matrices alone rarely achieve. Trade-offs frame the heart of appetite conversations. Every strategic choice balances speed, cost, quality, and certainty. By contrasting these dimensions, speed versus reliability, innovation versus control, the professional helps leaders visualize consequences of each tilt. The exercise is not persuasion, it is calibration. When leaders debate trade-offs openly, their collective appetite becomes visible. The facilitator then captures these expressions neutrally, reframing them in decision language. We are willing to accept higher variability in schedule to maintain product quality. Trade-offs illuminate identity, showing what the organization values most under pressure. Finding boundaries often requires probing extremes. Executives may initially describe themselves as moderate or balanced, but those words hide detail. The professional challenges gently. At what point does a loss or delay become unacceptable? Or, what conditions would force a course correction? Extreme cases reveal edges where comfort turns to discomfort. Mapping those inflection points defines the range between ambition and caution. The process should feel exploratory, not adversarial. By guiding leaders to articulate limits through examples, the professional transforms instinct into policy while maintaining psychological safety in the conversation. Once preferences surface, the next task is converting adjectives into measurable ranges. Words like slight, significant, or tolerable must gain numeric shape to enable monitoring. For instance, minor cost overrun might translate to up to 3% variance, while major delay might mean more than 1/4. The PMI-RMP professional suggests scales that fit organizational language, ensuring metrics remain intuitive. Quantification builds accountability. It allows future decisions to be tested against declared appetite rather than memory. Translating emotion into measure turns leadership intent into management clarity. Facilitating consensus across senior voices requires diplomacy. Different executives often hold contrasting appetites. Finance may prefer caution, while operations favors agility. The facilitator's role is to surface these differences transparently, then guide discussion toward alignment without forcing unanimity. Techniques include visual mapping of comfort zones or structured voting on hypothetical scenarios. Consensus does not mean uniformity. It means shared understanding of where divergence exists and how it will be managed. Documenting both common ground and tension points helps the organization navigate future debates with empathy instead of surprise. Capturing dissent and minority views strengthens credibility. Risk appetite statements that ignore minority concerns risk fragility when those concerns materialize. The professional notes dissent explicitly, labeling it as perspective, not opposition. Over time, those alternative voices often become valuable early warnings. Recognizing dissent signals psychological safety, demonstrating that risk governance welcomes diversity of thought. This inclusion ensures appetite statements reflect the organization's complexity rather than just the loudest opinion. Balanced articulation earns wider trust, making the resulting policy resilient under scrutiny. Testing appetite statements against real decisions closes the loop between aspiration and action. The facilitator reviews recent strategic choices, budget cuts, product launches, crisis responses, and asks, would these decisions have aligned with our declared appetite? Discrepancies reveal either misstatement or misbehavior. Sometimes appetite looks coherent on paper but contradicts historical evidence. Testing forces honesty. When leaders see mismatch, they refine language or adjust practice. Validation through lived experience ensures that appetite declarations describe reality, not aspiration. The PMI-RMP professional thus turns reflection into calibration. Agreeing on triggers for escalation is the operational next step. Appetite only matters if deviation prompts action. Executives should define what events or indicators require immediate review: budget overrun thresholds, safety incidents, or regulatory noncompliance. Clear triggers empower middle management to act without fear of overstepping. They transform abstract appetite into procedural readiness. During facilitation, the professional helps leaders link triggers to governance levels, ensuring escalation feels structured rather than political. Knowing exactly when and why to elevate concerns prevents paralysis when limits are tested. Drafting concise appetite declarations crystallizes the outcome of these sessions. Each statement should fit on a single line, combining clarity of intent with traceable metrics. For example, the organization will accept up to 5% budget variance in pursuit of schedule acceleration not exceeding 1 month. Brevity aids memory and monitoring. The professional groups these statements by dimension: financial, operational, reputational, creating a unified appetite profile. Simplicity signals confidence. Complex, multi-page declarations lose their audience. Short, precise sentences invite application. The goal is usability across departments, not elegance of prose. Validation with legal and finance teams ensures consistency across policies. Appetite statements often intersect with contractual obligations, insurance terms, and financial exposure limits. Collaboration prevents contradictions, such as a declared high appetite for risk alongside binding clauses that forbid variance. Legal review confirms compliance. Finance checks capital adequacy. The PMI-RMP professional manages this coordination to preserve coherence. Validation also educates technical departments about strategic intent, integrating appetite into institutional language rather than treating it as a risk management artifact alone. Publishing, socializing, and revisiting appetite statements solidify them as living guidance. Once approved, they should be visible in governance documents, planning templates, and executive dashboards. Workshops or town halls can translate them for operational teams. Revisiting them quarterly ensures adaptation to evolving conditions, new leadership, shifting markets, or regulatory changes. The professional facilitates these updates as part of the continuous improvement cycle. Appetite must breathe with the organization. When it goes stale, it becomes a slogan. Frequent dialogue keeps alignment alive and meaningful. Clarity at the executive level drives alignment everywhere else. When leaders articulate appetite transparently, teams act decisively within known limits, and governance becomes faster, fairer, and calmer. The PMI-RMP professional's value lies not in dictating risk levels, but in helping leadership convert ambition into coherent boundaries. From that clarity flows consistent behavior, credible decisions, and fewer surprises. In a world built on uncertainty, explicit appetite statements turn aspiration into structure. They make courage measurable and caution purposeful, the essence of strategic leadership under risk. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.